Welcome to Wisdom Planet, wisdom worth spreading. Happy listening! The book I am going to interpret for you today is called Personal Development for Smart People, The Conscious Pursuit of Personal Growth, published in August 2022. After reading this book, I feel that it is indeed a good book that has been misunderstood by its title. Its author is Steve Pavlina, a well-known personal development coach in the United States and a guru in the field of personal growth worldwide. He has established a personal development website where he has shared over 700 original articles on topics such as productivity, relationships, and spirituality. The website has users from over 150 countries and regions, with billions of visits. However, the author is not very well known in China. The core content of this book is about personal growth. Nowadays, we often talk about personal growth, and there are also many related books and articles. However, for many people, including myself, personal growth is a quite abstract concept. It seems that no one has made a systematic explanation of personal growth. The uniqueness of this book lies in the fact that it builds a complete system for personal growth, with theories and methods, forming a complete guide for personal growth. This may also be related to the author's background in science and engineering. He holds a dual degree in computer science and mathematics from California State University and used to run a game company before turning to the field of personal growth. The personal growth system constructed by the author consists of 7 principles, 3 of which are foundational principles: authenticity, love, and energy. These 3 foundational principles combine with each other to generate 4 derivative principles: courage, integration, leadership, and conscious autonomy. At first glance, these principles may seem abstract and empty, like some correct clichés. I felt the same way at the beginning, but as I read this book, I discovered that these simple 7 principles indeed condense the essence of personal growth. Moreover, just like the saying, "Don't forget why you started just because you've come a long way," some correct truths are worth repeatedly listening to and digesting at every stage of our lives. And you will find that these 7 principles can guide various aspects of our lives, such as the workplace, relationships, and so on. The book also includes a practical section, telling us how to apply these 7 principles to our lives. So next, I will interpret this book for you in 2 parts. In the first part, let's first understand the principles of personal growth. In the second part, let's discuss their applications. Now, let's officially dive into this book. Part 1. We just mentioned that in the personal growth system, constructed by the author, there are 7 principles. Let's first discuss the 4 most important principles, which are authenticity, love, energy, and courage. First, let's talk about the first point, authenticity. From a certain perspective, a person's personal growth is actually a continuous discovery of more about oneself and the truth about the external world. On one hand, it is about understanding one's own thoughts and situations, and on the other hand, it is about understanding the logic of how this world operates. So, for oneself, the first step to personal growth is to be able to realize that the current state of life may not be what you truly want. The worst thing is self-deception, pretending that there are no problems. Self-deception has its benefits, as it brings a kind of secondary gain. You know very well that the current career path is a dead end, yet you still stay there without making any moves. Why? Because it gives you temporary stability and a certain sense of security, without having to face the challenge of changing careers or dealing with various uncertainties. These are the secondary gains. Secondary gains may be a temporary remedy, but behind them lies long-lasting dissatisfaction and emptiness. Therefore, no matter how difficult it is to let go of secondary gains and face the truth, it is the necessary first step. If you do not acknowledge that your current job is not suitable for you, how can you find a satisfying job? If you do not admit that a certain relationship of yours has indeed encountered problems, how can you talk about improving the emotional connection? Therefore, facing reality is the prerequisite for personal growth. So, is there any way to understand the truth about oneself? The book suggests a very simple method: prediction. You can think about your current state of life and the direction you are heading in, and then ask yourself, what will my life be like in 10 or 20 years if I continue on this path? You can also gather the courage to ask a few people who know you well for an honest assessment. In their eyes, what will you be like in 10 years? Sometimes, other people's answers can be more truthful and objective. This can help you better understand your current state and whether you are seen positively by others. It is a very simple and direct way to break through self-deception. In addition to discovering the truth about ourselves, personal growth also requires us to continuously discover more about the external world, which can also be achieved through prediction. Each of us has a mental map of the external world in our minds. When you encounter new problems in life, if the results match your predictions, it means that your mental map is accurate. If the results do not match the predictions, it means that you need to update your mental map to match the latest reality. Through this mechanism, we can constantly learn from our own experiences and continuously uncover new truths about this world. Personal growth is about constantly improving our mental maps. Are there any specific methods? The author shares 2 methods with us. The first method is to embrace new experiences. For example, reading a book on an unfamiliar subject, learning a new sport, participating in a new social activity, or traveling to a new city are all new experiences. New experiences switch our brains into learning mode, allowing us to gain new experiences and expand our mental maps. Take Leonardo da Vinci as an example. He had a wide range of interests and skills in various fields, including art, music, science, engineering, and architecture. Some people say that Da Vinci was able to explore such a wide range because he was exceptionally intelligent. However, the author believes that it was perhaps because he explored such a wide range that he eventually became exceptionally intelligent, as he was constantly in a state of learning and constantly exercising his brain. On the contrary, if we live too conventionally, our brains will not construct new knowledge, and we will not be able to grow. Therefore, we need to continuously embrace new challenges, allowing our brains to constantly accept new experiences and new ideas. The higher the accuracy of your mental map matching the real world, the stronger your abilities will be, and the better you will be able to adapt to real life. As you gain a better understanding of yourself and the true state of the external world, you will achieve a higher level of self-awareness, including understanding your strengths, weaknesses, talents, preferences, behavioral dependencies, desires, emotions, habits, and more, as well as your inner state. Self-awareness is not consistently at the same level every day. Sometimes, your rational thinking prevails, while other times, your emotions may overpower your rationality. Sometimes, you are particularly disciplined, while other times, you may not be able to resist indulging in junk food. These fluctuations are normal, but the key issue is that when you take corresponding actions in a certain psychological state, these actions can reinforce that state. Therefore, when you encounter the same problem in the future, you are likely to respond in the same way. For example, if you turn to binge eating when feeling down, you are likely to develop such a habit. An important part of personal growth is being able to change the habits and dependencies that were formed in a state of low self-awareness. In other words, it means staying away from addictive behaviors and negative emotions. The author teaches us a specific method here, which is to make important life decisions, such as career changes, relationship issues, or whether to move to a new city, when your mind is at its clearest. And you should trust your choices and judgments in this heightened state of awareness, and write down your thoughts and decisions. Later on, when you are feeling down, you may want to retreat or question your initial choices, but at that time, you must still persevere. The author himself is an example, as he chose to give up his gaming business and transition into personal growth when he was at a high level of self-awareness. The transition was not smooth sailing, and he also went through a period of low point and doubted his initial decision. So he reminded himself that the choice he made was when his mind was clear and in a great state, and it was necessary for him to continue to persevere for a while. Of course, this does not mean that all our decisions in a heightened state of awareness are correct or perfect, but they are definitely choices made in the right state and based on the current reality, rather than being clouded by temporary emotions. In short, the first principle of personal growth is the principle of authenticity, which means being honest with oneself and being curious about the outside world, constantly exploring more truths about oneself and the external world. Next, let's talk about the second fundamental principle, love. The essence of love is actually the choice of who to connect with. Every day in life, you have to make choices. Is it to chat with your partner or watch TV? Is it to stay at home with your parents or attend a friend's gathering? If you want to grow consciously and independently, you must make choices, choose who to connect with, and who to weaken the connection with. There is a mainstream viewpoint that suggests we should get to know people who are different from ourselves. However, the author believes that, on the contrary, we should seek out those who are compatible with us. You have surely had the experience where you disagree with every word the other person says, yet you still nod and pretend to agree. Because you know that if you argue with them, it will only lead to endless conflict. This is a lack of basic compatibility between you and the other person, and in such a situation, communication becomes torture. As you grow, your understanding will change. Sometimes, you need to say goodbye to those who are no longer on the same wavelength as you, whether they are individuals or organizations, so that new people and opportunities can enter your life. If you are unwilling to remove the incompatible parts from your life, you will not be able to establish new connections. Following the principle of love means constantly expanding, communicating with others, and deepening our connection with the external world. In fact, all forms of relationships between us and others are also an expansion of our inner selves. Different external relationships are projections of our true inner selves. Whenever and however you communicate with someone, you are exploring yourself from different directions. When you feel a resonance with someone, you are actually forming a deep connection with a part of yourself. Now, let's talk about the third fundamental principle of personal growth, energy. It's another abstract term. Each of us has a certain concept of this word, and it's more like a feeling. For example, you may have a friend who is full of vitality, and you would describe them as having a lot of energy. In this book, the author explains the concept of energy quite clearly. It consists of 6 components: responsibility, desire, autonomy, focus, diligent action, and self-discipline. Responsibility refers to an empowered individual who takes full ownership of their own life and has control over it. Desire is the source of energy. The beauty of life lies in the fact that we can live the way we want by harnessing our own energy. You must accept your true desires instead of letting others decide what you should do. No matter what societal norms or parental figures tell you, pursuing what you dislike or living a lifestyle you don't enjoy will not bring you energy in life. Only your true desires, the things you genuinely want, can ignite true energy within you. You must choose for yourself and decide freely what you want. Focus refers to focusing on the present, because true energy only exists in the present. When your focus deviates from the present, you are actually depleting your own energy. The author presents a somewhat fresh perspective here, which is that time is not a resource that can be freely used. You cannot use time. No matter what you do or don't do, time will continue to move forward. The only thing you can choose is where to place your focus in the present. To some extent, our lives are made up of a series of present moments, without the past or the future. Therefore, the significance of setting goals is not to control the future, but to improve the state of the present, to make your thoughts clearer, your mindset more stable, and more focused. So, the goals you need to set should not be those that make you feel stressed and exhausted, but those that make you feel motivated, energized, and inspired. Don't chase after goals that can only make you happy in the distant future, but focus on goals that can make you happy in the present. You need to choose autonomously, freely choose what you want. Then, you need to make efforts, take action, and when you feel lazy, use self-discipline to drive yourself forward. In this way, responsibility, desire, autonomous choice, focus, effort, and self-discipline come together to form an energetic you. If, by setting goals, one can address issues of responsibility, desire, autonomy, and focus, then the challenge for many people lies in taking concerted action and practicing self-discipline. Is there any specific method for this? The first method mentioned in the book is personal performance management. In other words, you can set some minimum output goals for yourself, which can help improve your level of self-discipline and ensure that you make progress every day. If you are a writer, you can set a daily word count goal. If you are involved in investments, you can set a daily trading volume goal. These fall under the category of output-oriented indicators. Another category of indicators is action-oriented, such as writing for 2 hours today. These action-oriented goals are more controllable, as long as you complete the action. Writing for 2 hours every day is easier than writing 2,000 words every day. However, these types of goals do not guarantee results and may result in low efficiency. You may indeed write for 2 hours, but only produce 2 lines. Therefore, you can try both of these methods and see which type of indicator is more suitable for you. There is another small method, which is called premise of difficulties. In your daily work schedule, arrange different tasks in order of difficulty, from difficult to easy, and solve them one by one, starting with the most difficult problem. Many people start with the easiest tasks, but the problem is that you may use these simple tasks as a means of procrastination, and as a result, the most difficult work may be delayed until the next day, which will lower your energy level. Because those challenging tasks that you procrastinate on often bring more positive impact. Moreover, if you prioritize the difficult tasks and solve them first, you will have a clear mind that the following tasks will be easier one by one, which can motivate you to maintain a high level of efficiency throughout the day. Okay, here, the 3 fundamental principles of personal growth: truth, love, and energy. We have finished discussing them. Next, let's talk about the first derivative principle, courage. The principle of courage is composed of 2 fundamental principles, love and energy. When it comes to courage, we usually think of brave actions, which are a manifestation of energy. The principle of love is also important, as love is the driving force behind courage. When you want to do something that is expected to be beneficial in the future, but requires a certain cost in the short term, such as quitting a job that has no growth prospects or ending a relationship that drains you, these things are positive in the long run, but they require you to face short-term pain and challenges. In these situations, it is a moment that requires courage. How can you become a courageous person? It's simple, just be straightforward. People often beat around the bush when making requests. Why? Because there is less risk of being rejected that way. There are many posts seeking help on social platforms, where people ask others for advice, such as what will happen if I ask my boss for a promotion? Should I confess my feelings to him? People hesitate and only dare to test the waters first, because if they receive negative feedback, they can stop and avoid rejection, reducing the risk a little bit. At first glance, this approach seems reasonable. However, the author believes that if you do it this way, there is only one problem, and that is it's very foolish. It's a foolish approach to obtaining the things you truly want in life. It's too weak, not honest, and too deliberate. If a person is always trying to avoid rejection, then each attempt weakens their courage. They spend too much time and energy beating around the bush, and in doing so, precious opportunities may pass them by. So, if you desire something, it's better to just ask for it directly. Accept the risk of being rejected, and if you are rejected, there is actually no loss. But what if you are not rejected? Then you have obtained what you want in the fastest and simplest way. Of course, being direct here does not mean being pushy, but rather being genuine, open, and honest enough. Everything should be communicated openly and honestly, and receiving an honest rejection is better than a vague evasion. To enhance courage, there is another method, which is to say yes first. Some things require a lot of effort to actually do, but it is simple to say yes in a second. This is like setting a flag for yourself in advance, making a public commitment, and this often pushes you to complete the task. For example, have you ever had the experience of impulsively agreeing to participate in a competition or agreeing to join a marathon with a friend, and then starting to hesitate and regret why you agreed to it in the first place? But since you have already agreed, there is no way out, you can only do your best. Later, in the process of fulfilling your commitment, you will gain a lot of joy and push yourself to progress. Maybe you will make new friends, exercise your body, or develop a certain skill. So, if you are afraid of heights, try signing up for a rock climbing course. If you are afraid of public speaking, why not try registering for a speech competition? Just like the saying goes, hesitation leads to defeat. All actions and progress only require that initial statement, okay, I'll participate. Here, we have covered the 4 principles of truth, love, energy, and courage. The remaining 3 derivative principles are unity, leadership, and conscious autonomy. Oneness, derived from the principles of truth and love. It refers to the belief that you are connected to yourself, others, and all things in the world. You are aware that you are not an island and can empathize with others, willing to help them succeed. Being close to nature and physical contact with others can help you achieve a state of oneness in life. Leadership, derived from the principles of truth and energy, refers to being able to see the truth of life and exerting energy to create the desired path in life. You need to take control of your own life, make independent decisions, and believe in your own power. Sometimes, you can deliberately create some small rebellions, such as getting a unique hairstyle or putting up some unconventional posters at your workstation, or breaking some so-called rules that you have been blindly following. All of this can help you realize the leadership you possess, that you can actually maintain independence and not care about how others will react. The 7th principle, clear autonomy, combines the 3 principles of truth, love, and energy. Clear autonomy is the most powerful self-expression we have as human beings. A person with clear autonomy can creatively express themselves and maintain growth. Otherwise, they are just a lifeless body without inner self or goals. Part 2. Okay, we have finished discussing the 7 principles of personal growth. So, after understanding these principles, how do we apply them in real life? Now, let's move on to the second part and talk about how to apply these principles in our professional, personal relationships, and spiritual exploration. Whether it is a regular profession or a freelance profession, for each of us, our profession is the primary means of creative self-expression in life. In fact, a profession consists of 2 parts, the carrier and the information. The carrier, simply put, is the title of the profession, such as writer, speaker, internet celebrity, designer. These are the carriers, the ways in which you express yourself to the external world. The information, on the other hand, is the content you express to this world. Many times, people focus too much on the carrier, when in reality, it is just superficial. The deep essence of a profession lies in what information you are conveying to this world, and the carrier is merely the specific way you express yourself. So, if you want to have a career that truly satisfies you, you must find that core message within yourself and find the appropriate medium to convey it to the world. If you don't like your current job, it may be because the medium you are using does not match the message you want to express. For example, if the message you most want to express is your aesthetic sense, your understanding and pursuit of beauty, then a suitable medium for you may be a painter or designer. If you are doing a job that has nothing to do with it, then naturally you will not be satisfied. At this moment, the principle of authenticity is very important. Does your professional status adhere to the principle of authenticity? What are your predictions for your current career path? Did you choose it willingly or were you forced into it? Does your current profession align with your true self? Do you have any regrets about the paths you didn't choose? In your professional life, follow the principle of authenticity and answer these questions honestly and courageously. Few people find the perfect career path on their first attempt. But the good news is that you have more than one chance to choose. We gradually come to understand our true selves and become clearer about what we want to do and what we don't want to do, allowing us to switch careers. The author also reminds us not to let security, money, or fame hinder our commitment to authenticity. True security does not come from a job or a position, but from living according to our authentic principles. After discussing the professional field, let's talk about how we can apply these principles in our relationships with others. In interpersonal relationships, each person has different priorities and may excel in one or two of the three basic principles while lacking in another. For example, the author tends to lean towards the principles of truth and energy. He enjoys using rational analysis to understand the essence of things and motivate others to take action. However, he lacks the principle of love and the ability to empathize with others in communication. On the other hand, the author's partner, Aaron, excels in the aspects of truth and love. Aaron is emotionally sensitive and can keenly perceive what kind of emotional support the other person needs. However, she is somewhat lacking in the principle of energy and is often influenced by the emotions of others. This is somewhat related to their respective upbringing. The author's parents are more rational and the family is relatively traditional. He rarely hears expressions like "I love you," and there are few hugs between family members. On the other hand, Aaron's family is emotionally expressive and enjoys organizing various family gatherings to express their love for each other. Different upbringing environments have shaped different ways in which these two individuals handle relationships. You can also think about your own shortcomings when communicating with others. Do you lack truth, love, or energy? Often, it is the root cause of problems in your relationships. In addition, from the perspective of the principle of energy, a good relationship should not weaken your energy, but rather nourish and enhance your energy. If you feel restricted or weakened in a relationship, you should be cautious. Furthermore, in a relationship, you should not give up your own energy. You must maintain a certain level of independence in the relationship. If you find yourself without any say or choice, only obeying the other person in the relationship, then you are giving up your energy and relinquishing control over yourself. People often say that you can predict your future by looking at the people you spend the most time with. The relationships around you greatly influence your growth and development. So, if you find that the people around you are constantly draining your energy and bringing negative influences, it's time to leave such relationships. You need to surround yourself with more people who can provide positive support for you. Finally, we need to discuss a more abstract field, the mind. The mind discussed in the book refers to the collection of beliefs you have about the real world, including how you understand the functioning of the real world and how you perceive your role in it. Whether you have faith in a religion, believe in modern science, or don't believe in anything at all, these are all forms of belief, a certain belief about the real world that shapes your understanding of the world. The principle of authenticity goes without saying, a rational belief system must be based on truth. This requires us to observe and understand the real world to the greatest extent possible. Since each of us is limited in our reach and energy, in order to more accurately understand the essence of this world, we must learn to examine the real world from different perspectives. Whether it is religion, philosophy, culture, society, politics, or economics, each discipline has its own methods of viewing and understanding the world, and each reveals a partial truth about this world. If you are willing to explore and study, you can integrate these different perspectives and information, incorporate them into your cognitive toolbox, and obtain a more comprehensive picture of this world. The principle of love can also help us perceive the world. If you spend too much time alone, you may become distant from the real world. But if you communicate with enough people and establish enough connections with the outside world, you can understand more different ways of life and comprehend the world with more perspectives. Okay, here, I have finished interpreting the core content of this book for you. In the personal growth system, constructed by the author, there are 3 fundamental principles: truth, love, and energy, as well as 4 derivative principles: courage, unity, leadership, and conscious autonomy. These 7 simple principles essentially reveal the essence of personal growth. We can also use these 7 principles to guide various aspects of our careers, relationships, and spirituality. You can remember these 7 principles and ask yourself when you feel confused or discouraged. Have you followed the principle of authenticity? Are you facing yourself and others sincerely? If you continue in your current state, what will your future look like? Have you followed the principle of love? When communicating with others, are you expressing your true self or wearing a false mask? Have you followed the principle of energy? Do you know what you want? Are you making efforts to achieve it? Have you followed the principle of courage? Do you have the courage, or are you taking more roundabout ways? Have you followed the principle of unity? Do you have enough empathy to feel the joy and sadness of others? Have you followed the principle of leadership? Do you have control over your own life, or are you blindly following others? Are you a conscious and independent person? Have you found the message you want to convey to the world? Have you found the appropriate medium to creatively express yourself? Faced with these 7 principles and this series of questions, perhaps only a small number of people are truly living in accordance with these 7 principles. I hope that this book on personal growth can provide you with a slightly clearer reference point today, enabling you to face the direction of your own future growth with greater clarity. Alright, the above is the essence of this book. Congratulations on finishing another book. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe to our Wisdom Planet audiobook channel. Like and share it with family and friends. Wisdom worth spreading and opening up a better future. Thank you, and see you again.